This is our news, the weekend edition. And on the broadcast tonight, another COVID-19 case is confirmed, this time on Cat Key. Plus, a financial expert says what it will take for the country to jumpstart its economy once the coronavirus pandemic subsides. And the National Security Minister says law enforcement won't use curfews in order to curb crime.
Our news is brought to you by ALIV.
Good evening, everyone, and happy Easter. I'm Andrew Knowles. Thanks so much for joining us. Topping news tonight, COVID-19 has now spread to Cat Key after a 36-year-old woman tested positive for the virus. The Ministry of Health confirming case number 47 this afternoon. She has no history of travel and remains in isolation at home. This latest case comes on the heels of 4 confirmed COVID-19 cases yesterday. 3 of them are hospitalized. Now, this is Cat Key's first case with 38 confirmed cases in New Providence, 7 in Grand Bahama, and 1 on Bimini. There have been 8 deaths and 6 recovered cases. Nearly 500 people are in quarantine. Well, it's been 4 weeks since the country recorded its first confirmed case of the coronavirus. To date, there have been 47 cases and 8 deaths. Just last week, health officials predicted, based on forecasting models, the number of cases could double to 90 by the Easter holiday. It was a worst-case scenario. However, since that press conference on Wednesday, only 12 new cases have been reported. While appearing as a guest on RTV's On the Record with host Jerome Sawyer, Deputy Chief Medical Officer Dr. DELON BRENNEN was asked whether there are signs of flattening the curve or are we still seeing an uptick in the surge of cases.
We're seeing an uptick when you consider total number of cases over, within the period that we're looking at. But what we're seeing is a flattening in that the number of cases that we're getting on a daily basis, the number of positives that we're able to pick up is actually fairly steady. So you're not getting one big rush and multiplying that on top of each other. So you're not seeing going from 3 cases a day to 10 to 20 to 40. What's happening is you see 3 cases a day, you may see 6, you see 4, you see 1, you see none.
A 5-day complete lockdown came into effect last Wednesday in the hopes of slowing the spread of the virus. Dr. Brennan believes such measures are effective.
And if we continue to these same measures, we'll continue to see small number of cases on a daily basis, which is exactly the way you want this to play out, because you can address the needs of a small number of patients. But when you get all of those, let's say we had all 40 of these patients that we've had so far come into our healthcare system all at once, we would have been overwhelmed and we would have basically shut down the entire Bahamian healthcare system.
Wow. Meantime, as the nationwide lockdown expires on Tuesday, the Prime Minister will make a national address to the nation tomorrow evening. That address will be carried right here on RTV at 6 p.m. Well, the Bahamas will have an uphill battle once the COVID-19 crisis subsides. That's according to financial expert BOWE, who says the country must pool resources like never before if it is to successfully jumpstart the economy. He says once COVID-19 has passed, it will take all hands on deck approach.
Right now, it is very uncertain. We don't know, one, how long the virus containment measures are going to be in existence. We don't know what the impact is going to be to those persons globally that we rely on for a significant part of the economy. And we don't know what our fiscal situation is going to be as individuals, businesses, and governments just yet. We know what headroom we have. Sadly, this will bring back when our grandparents and forefathers were teaching us to have 6 months' salary saved so that in the event of changes, we've lost that sort of steering. And this will tell us in the future we probably need to get back to have a rainy day fund to be able to ride out.
The COVID-19 pandemic and the resulting fallout has already had a significant impact on the country's economy, with thousands of people losing their jobs in the hotel sector and thousands of people enrolling for social assistance. Ministry of Finance officials have predicted that the fallout could be worse than expected. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Peter Turnquest said last week the government identified $300 million in funding it can access should the COVID-19 pandemic force it to go outside its revised post-Dorian financing structure?
It is more about saying, well, how do we look at our initiatives to say we are standing ready, that as soon as there is the capacity of persons to travel, or the ability, maybe not capacity, the ability of persons to travel and the capacity in the airlines, etc., we are going to be one of the first destinations they look to.
Well, small businesses have taken a hit as many are ordered closed as part of government's emergency measures. However, our Jared Higgs tells us proprietors are staying optimistic for now.
Brandi Ingram is the 9-year-old proprietor of Brandi's Candy, a small business that she started with her sister just over 4 months ago.
We sell caramel popcorn, rainbow popcorn, regular popcorn, or even popcorn with cotton candy in it.
With the nation under curfew for the foreseeable future, small businesses like Brandi's have had to put plans on hold. Her older sister, Shalnika Newton, is optimistic though.
Everybody's health does come first, and so we're not expecting for persons to have large gatherings. We're not expecting to have any parties, anything of that sort, no special events, and so we are prepared to be out of commission for quite some time. However, we're not discouraged because we do know that when things resume to normal, we're going to be fine. I'm back in business.
Hundreds of small businesses have had to close their doors as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. Among the hardest hit are small business owners in the tourism sector. Donovan McKenzie is the proprietor of COCOSPLASH, a business that provides coconuts and specialty beverages to hotel guests.
We have had minimal operations since the last catastrophe that hit the Bahamas, which was Hurricane Dorian. And due to this COVID-19 outbreak now, it makes it a lot harder for us as a business to gain economic stability.
With many large hotels closed until at least May, McKenzie is sure to take a hard hit. He says it will take more than the government to resolve the current economic crisis.
It is a very rough time, and we will all get through it. I look forward to the day that all businesses are able to regain operations.
Another small business owner, KENDRICK, was all set to open his new barbershop on March 22nd. However, with the Prime Minister ordering businesses closed just days earlier, his dream start has been delayed.
I haven't been in business long enough to be able to qualify for the government assistance at this particular time.
The 42-year-old says he's using social media to stay in touch with clients. He's eager for the chance to spread his wings, and he's keeping a positive outlook.
I believe that at the end of the day, we're going to come out, and it's going to all be over. It's going to take some time for us to rebound, but I think if we remain focused, in due time, we'll get things back to where, it used to be or where it should be.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jared Higgs.
All right, thanks a lot, Jared. Well, could crime hotspots see the implementation of curfews once the COVID-19 virus has passed as a means of curbing crime numbers? It's an angle the National Security Minister discussed recently. Our Georgie O'Bain reports.
With new emergency measures in place to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 virus, the country has been on curfews, lockdowns, and even complete shutdowns. Most nights, police report that there were no major incidents. However, there have been 3 murders recorded during this time. Minister of National Security Marvin was asked if his ministry would consider implementing curfews in crime hotspots as a means of curbing criminal activity.
We all sit and wait on what the Prime Minister did, but I don't think that that's unnecessary at this time. We're focusing on this pandemic, and as a government led by our Prime Minister, we are putting all of our efforts into this, and hence the reason why you're seeing the curfews. And we have to do whatever we can to ensure that Bahamians and residents alike are safe.
During this lockdown period, police have captured wanted men, made several drug arrests, and confiscated illegal weapons. Dames admitted that while no consideration has been given to curfews in crime hotspots, he has seen a difference in numbers due to the emergency measures.
Crimes have been, as we know, they've been trending downward, starting this year too. We can see we would have had a few incidents, obviously, that would have caught the public's attention, and with social media too, it brings everything to the fore. But crimes continue to trend downward. during this period, does it have an impact? Of course it does.
Dame said he applauds officers who have been working day in and day out rotations since the passage of Hurricane Dorian, and noted that they are still providing stellar service despite being stretched thin.
There are still persons out there who are held. The police are still making arrests for drugs. They're still making arrests for persons in possession of firearms. All right? There were a few shootings. And I've been watching the news feed from across the world. And there are still persons out there who are hell-bent on breaking the law. And so as law enforcement, the police and the defense force and customs and immigration work on enforcing the laws of this country, they have to manage this pandemic, as well as we just had Dorian last year. And so, yeah, they're pretty much stretched.
Reporting for our News, I'm Georgia Bay.
Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson expressing concern over the postponement of national examinations. The Ministry of Education announcement on Friday includes GLAT, BJC, and BGCSEs. Schools remain closed for the foreseeable future, and teaching is ongoing via the ministry's virtual school platform. However, Wilson said her concern is that teaching and preparation of students for these exams has not been complete. She recommended pushing exams to October or November.
Modify the exam, reduce the number of papers, defer the extended paper, set tentative dates between October and November 2020 for the examinations. Further, I expect that the Minister of Education will cause new policies to be drafted that articulate the process and procedure for the modification of GLAT, BJC, and BGCSE.
Wilson said even in considering those modifications, the exams must have validity, reliability, and fairness. She said she's glad the Ministry of Education accepted the union's recommendation to postpone the national examinations, but she's asking for more consultation in the future when it comes to how the pandemic affects teachers and students.
This is not the time for the Director of Education to fight against the Bahamas Union of Teachers' recommendations, especially when they are reasonable, realistic, and achievable. We need cognitive diversity around the table at this time if we are going to succeed in education after this pandemic. As I said before, and I will say it again, as the President of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, executives, teachers, we are ready, willing, and able to assist in devising a short, medium, and long-term plan. Hashtag, here we are.
The PLP COVID-19 Task Force releasing a report which recommends strategic initiatives for managing the spread of that global pandemic in the Bahamas. These initiatives focus on contact tracing, testing, and quarantine and isolation. The report notes that the Department of Statistics has at its disposal a pool of semi-skilled workers who have experience in data collection. This experience, it adds, could be augmented with training from health officials to advance the Ministry of Health's current surveillance unit to increase the rate of contact tracing. The report also suggests that with 14% of cases in Grand Bahama, government should partner with Lucaya Medical or Sunrise Medical to build the capacity for testing. The PLP Task Force recommends that random testing be aggressively increased. This as there are approximately 4,000 molecular polymerase chain reaction test kits and over 10,000 serological test kits in the Bahamas. They also believe that the current number of nearly 500 persons tested countrywide is far too small a sample group. The statement adds that with the current population of 394,000, nearly 500 people represent only 1/8 of the population. Additionally, the task force recommends a partnership with BTC and ALIV to monitor confirmed cases that are in quarantine at home, as it is the task force belief that those residents are not following proper protocols and are still interacting with the public. They also recommend that all home isolation be eliminated and that COVID-19 positive cases be placed in government isolation. To facilitate this, the task force is again recommending that a hotel-like facility with a cafeteria and proper bathroom facilities be acquired to house and feed them anywhere between 14 and 30 days. Well, still ahead tonight. Churches may be empty, but it's still Easter and many Christians are still celebrating. Plus, a psychiatrist calls for emphasis on the mental health effects of COVID-19. Those stories on the other side of this break.
So the project really pays itself back.
Correct.
They set up
at the conference,
more the school.
As a journalist, I always have to focus on the facts, and sometimes that means going to investigate for myself. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on RTV.
Next tonight, today marks a significant day for the Christian faith as we celebrate Resurrection Sunday. Christians believe that on this day, more than 2,000 years ago, Jesus rose from the dead. Additionally, for the Christian tradition, the resurrection is the restoration of life of a transformed body powered by spirit. And as Christian Council President Bishop Delton FERNANDER explains, every Sunday is Easter Sunday to the body of Christ.
We celebrate that tomb was empty. That which Jesus was laid in, that he on resurrection Sunday is alive. Our faith is not dormant, our faith is not dead, our faith is not in the grave, our faith is a resurrected faith. So this Easter is particularly important because it reminds us that the Lord we serve has a plan. The angel said just as he said. And so he got up just as he predicted. And I believe the words that he said to us is that while we're in these situations and we are in his sacred place, he'll put his wings over us. And so we believe that God will cover the entire Bahamas.
Well, following the announcement that all weekend funerals are to be postponed, psychiatrist Dr. Timothy Barrett is acknowledging that grief for families will be strange and abnormal in most circumstances. This after families were urged to invite no more than 10 persons to any funeral procedures.
The big problem for families now is not being able to be with their loved ones or go through the rituals of funerals or have the repasts. And this grief is going to be strange and abnormal. It's going to introduce a new entity that we have to just observe and comment on as we observe it.
He added that while this is a very painful price to pay for growth and development, it is necessary. He also said that as grief is unique and individual, it can in some instances cause trauma. Dr. Barrett believes in these times, people should seek help.
Grief is unique and individual. No two people are going to grieve alike. So what it means to one, it's not going to mean to the other. I think in those cases we should seek the solace and the comfort that comes from family members and friends, but also our pastors and mental health care professionals if we have to do that.
Additionally, Dr. Barrett says he doesn't think officials are placing enough emphasis on the mental effects of the COVID-19 pandemic.
We have to, alongside with all the instructions we're giving, we have to also tell people that we understand that they're having fears and not only have regular things like this where people come and they interview and we talk about it, but there's no formula we can give any individual for how to cope with their level of fear and distress because we don't know them as individuals. If I was sitting in front of them in my office, I could work out with them. So we have to give principles.
And coming up later, we take a look at the most memorable quotes of the week, so stay tuned.
So the project really pays itself back.
Correct.
They set up
at the conference,
more the school.
As a journalist, I always have to focus on the facts, and sometimes that means going to investigate for myself. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on RTV.
Telecoms giant ALIV learning through the challenges brought on by the coronavirus pandemic. The company has already had to temporarily lay off 20 of its staff members as stores have been closed and employees work remotely. But Chief ALIV Officer DAMIAN BLACKBURN said the company has stepped up to the task through technology.
I'll be honest with you, it's been a challenge to transition to working from home, but the team have done a fantastic job. We're now answering customer care calls 24/7 from our team members from home. We've redeployed as many people as we can from our sales team. Our store here is closed like all our stores, and we've redeployed them to business critical activities. We're obviously servicing the customer in a very different way now. We're trying to get the customers to use the MyAlive app, and we know that can be a daunting process for some customers, so we're working hard to call them all and talk them through that. So that's how we're kind of redeploying our team.
Despite being one of the first companies to take action and put its plan in place as the coronavirus spread, BLACKBURN said no plan is 100% foolproof, which presents its own challenges.
And we planned as much as we can, but at the end of the day, you also learn a little bit on the way. It wasn't easy, and thanks to our customers for being patient to get the customer care staffing levels at the right level. We had to redeploy a lot of staff there because there's just double the number of calls than normal, because of course nobody can come to the store. Right. So we've got that sorted out now. Generally our service levels are at the levels everybody expects.
BLACKBURN said the good thing for the company is that it was already executing well advanced plans in the digital arena.
We launched a new version, version 2 of our app. We always had an app, and you could always pay for your services online from the beginning of ALIV. But we had launched in December a new version of that app, which has been widely heralded and loved by our customers. We have nearly 30,000 customers using that app, which is an amazing achievement in 3 or 4 months. Now we're obviously trying to get as many people onto using that as possible, and that's our main digital thrust. There are many others, but that one's our main digital strategy.
The Christian Council now has to decide how they will conduct elections or if they will postpone their elections because of the COVID-19 pandemic. That's according to President Bishop Delton Fernander. The council is set to elect a new president this month, but that may change due to the global pandemic. Fernander says the council will meet virtually to decide the way forward.
When the 27th comes around, when Parliament gets back, and if they give us ability, we will communicate virtually and see if the Constitution does lend itself to a virtual election. But it'll be interesting, and we'll see if it has to be postponed or we will do a virtual election for the president of the Christian Council. All of that will be decided by the council.
Are you going for referendum again?
Yes, I am offering myself again, and we'll see what the Lord will do.
We count down the most memorable quotes of the week. That's coming up when our news, the Weekend Edition, returns.
So the project really pays itself back.
Correct.
They set up
at the conference.
More the school.
As a journalist, I always have to focus on the facts, and sometimes that means going to investigate for myself. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on RTV.
Finally tonight, it's that time when we take a look back at the most memorable moments of the weekend news in our Quote of the Week segment. This eyewitness account of Tuesday's fatal shooting on Hampton Street takes the number 3 spot.
Small Paso, black Paso, pulled in front of our vehicle and just opened fire at a young man that was standing. And he must have put about 30 shots in him. One came with an AK-47, the other 2 came with a 9mm, and he was on the ground, and they just continued lighting them up. Pop, 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 pop.
Tensions ran high at the Social Services Office on Tuesday as dozens of jobless Bahamians sought food stamps and other aid. Their comments come in at number 2.
Still have bills, mortgage, everything. I ain't worrying about that part, because if I don't have anything to eat and I die, they still can't be paid.
So what am I supposed to do? I'm not going on the red light. Oh no. I love my boy too much, I love God too much to go on a red light to sell to get something for my child to eat and for me to eat. No, devil is a lie, I'm not gonna do that.
But taking the number 1 spot for quote of the week is Health Minister Dr. DUANE, who said the country is still not near its peak in coronavirus cases.
I think Dr. Mercelyn Dallery just spoke to it quite well when she said that we could see as many as 90 cases by Sunday afternoon.
But that's not peak.
We don't know when this is going to peak. And we have modeling, we have predictions, etc., but we do not know when this is going to peak. We are definitely in the surge right now. And so there will be more cases.
Well, that does it for our quote of the week and other stories making news this evening. Stay tuned. Our weather forecast is up next. And that's our news, the weekend edition for this Easter Sunday. I'm Andrew Knowles. For all of us here at Our News, thanks for watching. And remember to be safe and look out for each other. Enjoy your Easter holiday and have a good night.